Hey everyone, Austin here with The Real Seal, back again for another shop talk video to talk to you about how to fix sagging floors. I'm sure you have already seen this issue before where you put the ball on the ground, your kid's toy, whatever it is, and it goes rolling away. There are two main issues when it comes to sagging floors that need to be addressed. One would be the floor joists, and the second one would be the I-beam and supports. Your sagging floors are almost always a result of deteriorating, improper, or broken supports. Starting with the joists. The joists are what hold your subfloor up, and the joists are held up by your I-beam and the perimeter of the foundation. These joists are supposed to be spaced at a certain distance between one another and are supposed to have spacing between the I-beam and the wall that is no more than, generally speaking, 14 feet for a single family home. Now, if that space between the I-beam and the wall is too far, those joists can sag just from not being able to support that much weight and having too long of a span. Another reason the joists can sag is high humidity levels in the crawl space. Once that wood starts to get wet, it starts to lose its strength and it'll bow. Eventually, that will lead to the joist cracking. And a lot of times you'll notice this with the bouncy floors in your home. If you're bouncing on a floor, there's a chance that that joist beneath you is broken. Now, if the joists are all good and you still have sagging floors, then the other issue you're dealing with is the I-beam and its supports. Most old homes were built with wooden I-beams, and while this is okay to use, over time it will degrade, it'll get moist, it'll bow, just like those joists. And typically it'll do that a lot easier than the joists will. On top of that, the spacing between wooden I-beam posts can be no more than 10 feet, or else that beam will naturally sag from the weight of the home. So if your I-beam supports are any further than 10 feet apart, an easy solution would be to move those I-beam supports inward. If those I-beam supports are at a good length and the I-beam itself in good condition and the spacing is good, you shouldn't have any of that sagging. If the I-beam isn't sagging, it's looking to the supports. And if the supports are within the 10 feet, the I-beam isn't sagging, the joists are all good, well, now it's time to look at the condition of the supports themselves. The supports have three main components you need to be worried about. The first is how it attaches to the ground, whether it's sitting on a concrete footing or a gravel base. It depends on the weight above. If you've got a main beam, that needs to be on a concrete footing. If this is a supplemental beam just to help because you put an extra heavy kitchen, gun safe, aquarium there, well, that can be easily supported with a gravel footing and an ICC footing pad. Now, if those supports are made of wood, there's a good chance they're degrading. So the second component you're looking at on those supports is what material it's made out of and what condition it's in. Those I-beam supports can bow if there's too much weight on them, and they can also degrade through rotting if water is touching them at the bottom if you do not have a conditioned basement crawl space, and so to keep that water away. That'll end up taking away the base of the support, which will obviously cause you problems with the support of the I-beam. And then lastly, you want to check the condition of that support connecting to the I-beam. It should either be bolted or have an adapter that squeezes that I-beam to ensure that that post doesn't move. Because if it's not bolted correctly, it'll end up tilting over time or completely fall off of the support. And obviously, if the beam has no support, it's going to bounce and you're going to have those sagging floors. And finally, with the sagging floor, obviously, if the beam, joists, and everything are in good condition and your foundation wall is sinking, then you will have to get the foundation wall addressed and have that settlement addressed as well. But typically with sagging floors, you're dealing with joists, I-beam, and I-beam support issues. If you have any questions about I-beams, sagging floors, or what you can do to fix them, give us a call over at The Real Seal, where you know not everything's better when wet.